Grand Theft Auto V is perhaps gaming's most ambitious and grandest effort in capturing the ideals of virtual whimsy and unfettered playfulness in a simulation. The sheer magnitude of absurdity and entitlement of mischief granted through a vicarious role-playing experience is surely Rockstar's best offering, as well as the model for open-world games and for the video game axiom of alleviation through mindfulness. Underappreciated and overshadowed by the online mode, the single-player experience deserves recognition as one of the most lofty and absorbing experiences of its kind. Grand Theft Auto V is self-referential from the opening moments, with Michael lamenting both his age and his generic lifestyle to his therapist, highlighting how his son, quote, sits on his ass all day, jerking off and smoking dope, playing that effing game, which is ironically what most of the player base likewise excels in at the same time, both in reality and in this exaggerated recreation of contemporary America. The game specializes in satire through the cinematic and comic frivolity of ridicule and the cleverness of disguising scathing critique through an acceptance of the idiotic and irresponsible, carried out by force through the vile use of vernacular and hostile happenings of the characters, vacations from liability that all the while serve as a pointed rebuke at the player. Balance between the uncanny, conspicuous, and merciless mockery of social media intrusion and internet petulance in the form of the in-game Life Invader app and the innocuous iFruit phone, the trolling extends and expands to the online universe, where friends and foes meet and are made often and are nearly indistinguishable. Insults abound and inescapable, so much so that on-street walks, even everyday NPCs talk will disparage you into oblivion. In the main game, some of the best examples of imitation are Poppy Mitchell, a stereotypical socialite famous for being famous that can be interchanged with nearly any current celebrity, gets arrested by the police and outed in many other embarrassing and permissive circumstances, all of which neither hinder nor enhance her reputation. Then there's the irresistible image of the femme fatale on the beach putting up a sarcastic peace sign and holding an opulent camera phone that is self-obsessed, but less of a diva to the viewer and more of a desire, a sort of titillating Mona Lisa. Is she taking a harmless selfie or simply teasing us? The pop art cover is highbrow and modern, a collage of iconoclasts from the sex symbol herself to the unrelenting anarchists, among other variations on those veritable themes of self-aggrandizement. The actions available are absolving of the most serious offenses, including murder and, of course, grand theft. That you spend most of the time driving around in souped-up rides and/or killing innocents is both an indictment of privileged excess and an exercise in the daily non-essentials and itches for mayhem that, thankfully, typically only occur in make-believe. This gameplay cycle is intentionally obnoxious, but the story that encompasses it, though often equally preposterous, is additionally more relatable and inspired. The three main characters each represent three main themes which can be communicated to us best through the use of the luminous-inspired exhilaration of the soundtrack music. Though they don't go unnoticed and certainly not unheard, I have a theory that these three distinct codas exist for three distinct characters and three main ideas expressed through the setting and conflicts of the story. For Franklin, there is the universal waiting period, a necessary though impermanent burden on the way to quench the longing for a better life, and with that, the ascertainment, if not always the acquisition, of the American dream. For him, there is the moving, loading theme that protracts itself and steadily, gradually morphs and unsuspectingly transports to a sudden peak that announces the arrival that the game and his life is ready. For Michael, the man who wishes to recapture not his youth, but his zest for adventure, to fully realize his creative passion and take the heedless charge toward reckless abandon, thereby shedding the fake identity imposed on him and escaping the ubiquitous trap of a mundane family life. There is the I Fought the Law theme, also known as the agency heist, a rebellious and empowering operatic piece that resonates with the power to prime intoxicating determination and finesse upon the listener before fading and mellowing out to a tame and sober chorus, returning us to the material and Michael to the understanding that his family matters and that he is getting too old. For Trevor, the irritable outsider and irrepressible madman, an agent of chaos that wants to watch the world burn, there is the grandiose splendor of the indulgent and the extravagant. Welcome to Los Santos' main theme that encapsulates the motives of the imperiously resolute and embodies the desire for regular wealth, power, and acceptance, all of which are seldom obtainable or deserving. They used real elephant sounds to make this tune. It's a soundtrack that has the listener envision themselves as trouncing over their opposition, much like Trevor would like to walk all over the world. In the end, it too recedes to a calm and assuaging tone, leaving us insatiable and Trevor, who ambles on his own without guidance and no one left to bully. Grand Theft Auto V is a multifaceted marvel of game design as well as of humor, wit, and a demonstration that the human and console's capacity for destruction of environment and demoralization and deconstruction of personal character can be sources for constructive criticism and amusement. It shows us that it is true and almost obligatory that art mirror real life and vice versa, and that people tend to be revolting in the preciseness of our contempt for one another. These messages are explicit and rather encouraging. Grand Theft Auto V teaches us the important lesson that we shouldn't always take ourselves or video games too seriously.